music festival that drew hundreds of thousands of young people to a dairy farm in White Lake, New York over the weekend came to an end today. We have a report from...
It's after midnight, and you've tuned to Laurel Canyon AM, a signal that doesn't exist on any dial, only in memory, only in whispers. These hills above Los Angeles still carry echoes, songs that shaped a generation, secrets that never left the trees. Tonight's broadcast is part history, part mixtape, part ghost story. So settle in. The canyon is awake tonight.
It was a Santa and a wind. That's when the trouble did begin. One blew my friend right off the map. No one knows where she landed at. You know they call it the devil's breath. It might just blow you right to death. And you know I would not have believed, but I've got these devil winds at my knees. It was a Santa and a wind. It was a Santa and a wind. It was the Santa and a winds, and when they come, they do not end. And when they go, they don't say where. All you can do is sit and stare. And they might blow the memory of me. They might blow it to the sea, but I cannot see the sea for the trees, and I cannot feel the sun for the breeze. It was the Santa and a wind. It was the Santa and a wind. It was the Santa and a wind. It was the Santa and a wind.
That was StereoSunset, singing about those restless Santa Ana winds, hot, dry, and dangerous, just like the ones curling through the canyon tonight. If you've ever felt them, you know they rattle the windows, set the nerves on edge. Out here in Laurel Canyon, some folks swore the winds carried more than just dust and heat. They carried stories, songs, and sometimes shadows. Let's take it back to where it all began. Sunshine on porches, guitars on knees, and a family of musicians who never dreamed how bright or how dark this little canyon would shine. They called it paradise in the Hollywood Hills, but it wasn't movie sets that built this dream. It was porches, guitars, kitchens filled with friends. Mama Cass kept her doors open, feeding whoever wandered in. Joni Mitchell painted and wrote in her little house on Lookout Mountain. Crosby, Stills, and Nash found a harmony so pure it felt like fate. The canyon was a family. Music drifted out of every porch, carried on the California breeze. It was sunlight in sound.
together under endless skies, magic alive in the canyon's eyes. Jim on a bike by the country store, Joni's voice drifting through the door, Crosby's laughter carried on the breeze, songs like rivers running through the trees, sunshine and guitars, a freewheeling song. In the heart of the canyon, we all belong. Voices are rising, echoes never fade. The spirit of the canyon will never be betrayed. Painted sunsets on the hillside stone, every melody a place we called home. Stars were brighter when the nights were long, every heartbeat turning into song. Sunshine and guitars, we were young, we were bold. In the canyon of dreams, the stories unfold. Carry the echoes wherever you are. Forever we'll shine with sunshine and guitar.
Laurel Canyon. It looked like paradise hiding inside a big city. Winding, hilly, serene. Roger McGuinn of the Byrds said it was like living in the country, but you were in Los Angeles. A woody neighborhood in the Hollywood Hills, threaded by Laurel Canyon Boulevard. Dirt roads leading to hilltop views. Timber houses with big windows. Leafy gardens fragrant with eucalyptus. At night you could hear coyotes, owls, and the strum of acoustic guitars drifting through the dark. David Crosby called it magical. 4 or 5 minutes down the hill and you were on the Strip, stepping into Hollywood. But up here, you were free, away from the noise. And critically, it was cheap. Mark Volman of the Turtles said it plain. You didn't move there because you were rich. You moved because it was affordable. Right in the middle of town. For young musicians with guitars, it was the perfect compromise. Close enough to the clubs, far enough to dream. This was the golden glow of the canyon. An accidental family, chasing songs in the hills above Los Angeles. Music drifted out of open windows, across porches, carried by the California breeze. It felt endless, until the shadows crept in.
The sun hit different up on Lookout Trail. Golden dust dancing through the camis and sage. We'd walk barefoot down to the store. Me, the dog, and a song still in my hair from the night before. My friend Joni always said the light was better just before it fades. And it was, it always is. Summer dresses, tangled straps, Straw bags slung low, no rush, no maps. Someone strumming a few houses down, a melody catching on the warm canyon sound. Windows open, voices raw, we gave each other songs like secrets. Oh, the canyon days, where music floated through eucalyptus haze, faces half shadowed by wide-brimmed dreams. Love was loose and time wore seams. We didn't know it wouldn't last, but it felt like forever just then. There was always wine on someone's porch, laughter woven into hand-me-down chords. We didn't take pictures, we just were. And now it's all a blur of heat and soul and dust, but it's mine. Trade a single day. Oh, the canyon days, where harmony rose like morning haze. A rusted gate, a record spun, someone always chasing the sun. We didn't say goodbye, we just drifted, like the songs we left behind. Still sometimes, when I hear the wind through pine, I think I hear us in another time.
Once upon a time, there was a place called Laurel Canyon. If you were fortunate enough to live there in the mid to late 60s, you'd have found yourself among the most magical of people. Artists, musicians, writers, singers, painters, an idyllic setting. Just 5 minutes from the Sunset Strip, yet a universe unto itself. Laurel Canyon wasn't just a place to live. It was a state of mind. That's how Elliot Mintz remembered it. It was paradise hiding in the city. A family of musicians chasing light through the eucalyptus trees. Music drifted from porches and windows, carried on the warm California breeze. It felt endless until the shadows crept in. The golden light of the canyon couldn't last forever. This was the mid-60s, and the outside world was bleeding in. Vietnam filled the headlines. Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy were gunned down. Cities burned. Campuses rioted. The dream of America was unraveling, and you could hear it in the canyon, in the songs, in the streets below. LSD opened new doors. Timothy Leary told America to turn on, tune in, drop out. The Beatles went to India.
The Grateful Dead played to seas of acid-drenched kids. Up in Laurel Canyon, Frank Zappa turned his log cabin into a laboratory of the bizarre. The mothers of invention gathered, Captain Beefheart howled, and the strange became the norm. Zappa would later remind us, we weren't hippies, we were freaks, and there's a difference. But the freaks weren't alone. The Doors haunted the Strip, Jim Morrison delivering sermons of revolt. I am interested in anything about revolt, disorder, chaos, he once said. Especially activity that seems to have no meaning. And if you stood in the Whiskey A Go-Go, you could feel that chaos vibrating in your chest. Down on the Strip itself, the tension boiled over. In 1966 and 67, kids poured into the streets to protest the new curfew laws. Police tried to clear them out. Clubs were shuttered, lights went dark. And what began as a standoff turned into the Sunset Strip riots. Tear gas drifted across Sunset Boulevard. Teenagers sang and chanted as batons came down. Jack Nicholson watched it all from his window above, a front row seat to America's generational collision.
And out of that chaos came a song. Stephen Stills, living in the canyon, took the mood of those nights and turned it into a warning. Buffalo Springfield recorded For What It's Worth, a song that begins quietly. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. But the chorus rang louder than the tear gas. Stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Neil Young would later admit, there was a lot of angst in the air, and it came out in the music. Suddenly, folk music wasn't just about love and peace. It was about fear, protest, survival. Songs became dispatches from the front lines of a cultural war. From Laurel Canyon porches, musicians were watching America fracture in real time.
Chanting in a fractured daze, smoke and fire on the boulevard. Dreams dissolve when the night gets hot. Shadows dance in the devil's quiet. Whispers rising, flames grow higher. Preachers moan, crowds are marching made of stone. What you hear is not just sound, it's the world turning upside down. there's something happening here, but the truth may never be clear.
The draft made it personal. Young men in the canyon had numbers pulled. Friends marched off to Vietnam, sometimes never to return. David Crosby said it plainly. We were watching our friends die, man. How do you not write about that? The canyon had been a sanctuary, but now, even up here, you couldn't escape the smoke. The strip was boiling. America was boiling. And every song, every strum of the guitar carried that weight. You could feel it. Some said the canyon itself began to shimmer. Houses seemed to breathe. Trees swayed when there was no wind. Folk songs melted into hallucinations. The music stretched into longer trips, stranger visions. Safe on the surface, yes, but no one who lived here could deny it. The dream was bending. Reality itself was bending, and once bent, it never snapped back again. Fame doesn't knock softly. It barges through the door with a grin and a contract in its hand. By the late 60s, the music industry had found Laurel Canyon. The record men in their sharp suits knew what was up here in the hills, and they wanted in. David Geffen, barely out of his 20s, was shaping Asylum Records, and suddenly, those songs drifting out of open windows were worth millions. Graham Nash remembered it well. We thought we were free. But the truth was, the business was always there, waiting. The canyon, once a family of dreamers swapping chords on porches, was turning into a marketplace. The music still came, but it felt different. Deadlines now, studios booked solid, critics watching. The laughter wasn't as loose, the friendships not as easy. Jim Morrison haunted these hills, some nights a poet, other nights a wreck. Robbie Krieger of The Doors said Jim was searching for something, but he didn't know what, and he was tearing himself apart trying to find it. He drank, raged, wandered. You could hear the cracks in his voice, feel the weight on his shoulders. Graham Parsons floated through with his cosmic American music, country and gospel melting into rock and roll. But Graham was burning too fast. Friends loved him, but they knew he was slipping away. By 26, his flame had gone out. Even the houses themselves seemed different. Sunshine poured in through those big windows, but the air felt drier, harsher. And so did the music. You can hear it in this next one, a track that carries that shift in the air, the dry winds of Laurel Canyon.
The canyon hums with a lonesome tune. Dry winds whisper through the afternoon. Dust kicks up where the shadows lean. Golden light caught in the evergreen. An old coyote howls far and faint. The echoes fading like a memory's pain. Oh, dry winds of Laurel Canyon carry my heart where the hills are standing beneath the sun, where time moves slow, dreams take root, and the rivers don't flow. A red-tailed hawk rides the heat above. hills high like a question of love. Jacaranda blooms drift away, purple carpets where we used to lay. I hear guitars from a neighbor's yard, song still healing where the wood is scarred. Oh, dry winds of Laurel Canyon carry my heart where the hills are standing beneath the sun, where time moves slow, dreams take root, and the rivers don't flow. Is it the dust that blinds my eyes, or the way this city wears its skies? Hills still holding 1,000 sighs, burnt sienna where the spirit the canyon's key. Stories linger where the shadows sleep. Love and loss in the golden haze. Every song's a map through the canyon maze. The hills keep secrets, they never fade. Their chorus hums in the songs we made.
That was StereoSunset with Dry Winds of Laurel Canyon. You can almost feel it in your bones, that change in the air, the weight settling on the music, the innocence slipping through the cracks. Because fame brought more than money. It brought egos, arguments, collaborations breaking apart, credits fought over. The family feeling that Mama Cass and Joni Mitchell once nurtured was fracturing. What was once a circle of friends was now a wheel of rivals. And beneath it all, whispers. Stories of strangers hanging around the canyon, men who weren't playing music, who weren't part of the scene, but seemed to be watching from the shadows. Too easy to ignore, too strange to forget. Crosby would later reflect, "We were chasing light, man, but we didn't notice how dark it was getting." That darkness is what we're heading into now. The canyon still sang, but the harmonies carried an unease, a tremor in the sound. You could sense it, a darker undercurrent running just beneath the surface. You can hear it in this next track, The Dark Side of the Canyon.
On the dark side of the canyon, where the sun forgets to go,
StereoSunset there with Dark Side of the Canyon. And if you listen closely, you can hear where this story is headed. The dream is cracking, the shadows lengthening, and whispers are about to become screams. Because just over the ridge, a man named Charles Manson was waiting. And when his family stepped into the story, everything changed. The whispers were no longer whispers. They had faces now. Charles Manson, failed musician, cult prophet, drifter with a guitar and a dangerous kind of charm. For a moment he was just another shadow on the edge of the canyon scene. Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys let him crash, even recorded one of his songs. Wilson would later say, "At first he seemed gentle, but then I saw the darkness. That darkness gathered a family, and they moved just over the hill to Spahn Ranch. An old Western movie set turned into a stage for apocalypse. Dust and heat, wooden shacks, wild-eyed girls dancing barefoot in the dirt. At night, Manson preached about helter-skelter, a race war, the end of the world, and a twisted salvation only he could lead. And too many listened. One canyon away, the music was still playing, but something in the air had changed. And then, in August 1969, the storm broke.
Dusty road cuts like a scar, where the wind don't ask how far. Horses in the dry heat, they never run. Shadows in the canyon fold, stories carved in dirt so old. The sun bleeds down, no place to run. Spahn Ranch whispers, Spahn Ranch cries, underneath the desert skies. What's the truth? What's the lie? Spahn Ranch whispers, Spahn Ranch dies.
If I wouldn't allow those people on that ranch, I'd kick ass over there. I don't allow that stuff around me. I take a little grass and a little LSD, but none of that is destructive. Anyway, you can ask any of them other girls, they'll tell you that. The other side of this game, I don't play drugs.
Wooden boards creak, ghosts don't sleep. Silent nights where secrets seep. Dreams get tangled in the wire. Bare feet on a splintered floor, wishing I could walk through that door, but the dust keeps pulling me higher. Do you feel it? Do you hear it? A voice you can't name, but you fear it. Spahn Ranch whispers, Spahn Ranch cries, underneath the desert skies. What's the truth? What's the lie? Spahn Ranch whispers, Spahn Ranch dies.
Here's the thing, you stand for a cause, and that cause begins to crumble. And you crumble with the cause because you don't have to hold on. You have nothing to hold on. You fall up underneath everybody else's opinion. And you're turned around by what they think because you're looking back on society, and she's not been in jail long enough to know that society that she's thinking about is not the society that's really going on. The society 25 years ago that she has in her mind is gone. That society moved on. There's another back window in this tree.
StereoSunset there with Spahn Ranch Whispers. If you closed your eyes, you could almost hear the footsteps in the dust, the creak of broken boards, the laughter that never sounded right. August 8th and 9th, 1969. Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojciech Frykowski, Stephen Parent. The next night, Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, murdered in their own homes. The city froze. The papers screamed. Los Angeles was afraid to breathe. For many, that was the end of the 60s. David Crosby said it plain. The minute those murders happened, everything changed. We knew it was done. The dream of the canyon was shattered. The sunlight was gone.
Did you tell the women to do their witchy things?
I said, if you're gonna do something, leave something witchy. Just like I would tell you, if you're gonna do something, do it well.
Are you so afraid, locked inside your mind? Go down to the morgue, see the bodies left behind. Tex rode the night to a house he knew. Loaded veins, painted truth in blue. Leave something witchy, a sign in the fire. Do it with your soul, do it with desire. I walk on my way, it's all I own. In the underworld, I made my home. No lawyer to call, no mother to plead. I lived in a cave where the walls still bleed. Revolution whispers through a broken door. When you cry for peace, I'm already at war. Leave something witchy, a sign in the fire. Do it with your soul, do it with desire. I walk on my word, it's all I own. In the underworld, I made my home. I don't exist in your world of law. King George rises when the courts withdraw. Crazy as a hatter, mad as a sea. But madness means nothing when it lives in me. Children of the times, they were beautiful, they were blind. I said do what you want, but it echoes in your mind. Pile the bodies high, I don't wrinkle, I don't bend. The world keeps burning and the war won't end. Leave something witchy, a sign in the fire. Do it with your soul, do it with desire. I walk on my word, it's all I own. In the underworld, I made my home. In the underworld, I made my home.
That was Leave Something Witchy, the phrase scrawled on walls, left behind like a curse. Proof that the canyon story wasn't just guitars and harmonies. It was blood and fear. And once written, it could never be erased. But the paranoia didn't stop with Manson. People started looking closer, connecting threads. Too many canyon kids had military fathers. Jim Morrison's dad
an admiral at the Gulf of Tonkin. Frank Zappa's father, chemical warfare. Stephen Stills, Graham Nash, countless others with ties that looked too neat to be coincidence. And above it all, high on Lookout Mountain, sat the Air Force Film Studio. Officially a Cold War facility for nuclear test reels. Unofficially? Who knows? Some say it was a propaganda hub. Others say it filmed things the public was never meant to see. Conspiracy or coincidence? The questions still echo. Dave McGowan would later argue Laurel Canyon was no accident at all, but a psyop, a manufactured dream designed to fracture. Believe it, dismiss it. Either way, the paranoia seeped in like smoke. And if you thought the darkness left with Manson, you'd be wrong. Because just over a decade later, the canyon's neighbor would write its own bloody chapter.
Here in Hollywood, land of fantasy and dreams. But there's a sinister underside here, too. Behind me, Laurel Canyon, where many of the stars seek their privacy. But it's also the scene of the most sensational crime since the Manson massacre. Our David Lee Miller follows this nightmare, which is still unfolding, the Laurel Canyon murder.
In the hills where the daylight hides, Cielo Drive on the darker side, whispers carry through the trees, broken glass and memories.
Welcome to Wonderland. Dreams turn to dust in your hand. Echoes on the canyon floor. No one sings here anymore. Blood on the walls, shadows in the fire. Promises made by a funeral choir. From Spahn ranch dust to sunset's glow, ever secret the canyon knows. Welcome to Wonderland. Dreams turn to dust in your hand. Echoes on the canyon floor. No one sings here anymore. $150 carved in stone. The house remembers you're not alone. Voices linger, wounds don't heal. The darker side was always real. Welcome to Wonderland. Welcome to Wonderland. Welcome to Wonderland, where the songhouse fades into silence.
StereoSunset with Wonderland, 10,050 Cielo Drive. A song for another nightmare. July 1st, 1981. Wonderland Avenue. 4 people bludgeoned to death in a drug house. One of the grisliest crimes in Los Angeles history. The Wonderland murders. A canyon once again stained with fear. Different decade, different names, but the feeling was the same. Violence, drugs, paranoia. Another paradise poisoned. Another echo of the dream gone wrong. By then, Laurel Canyon's golden glow was long gone. The houses were the same, the eucalyptus still fragrant, but the air carried something heavier. For some, the canyon was no longer a sanctuary. It was haunted ground. And yet, even in the darkest nights, the music still played. Echoes through the hills, echoes that refused to die. But the canyon would never sound the same again.
What the Los Angeles police saw inside this house on the afternoon of July the 1st, 1981, made even the most hardened detectives shudder.
It looked as if someone had walked through the house with buckets of blood and just threw the buckets of blood everywhere, and that's pretty close. There's a lot of blood.
Inside a scene of stark terror. 4 bodies, 2 women and 2 men, brutally beaten, their heads bashed in. A 5th victim found in a pool of blood barely survived, but couldn't remember, much less describe what she'd seen. One thing was certain. This orgy of violence was not the handiwork of a single man. The detectives knew that, but they didn't know it was a case that would eventually touch the lives of Liberace's lover, an adult film star, John Holmes. They also didn't know it would take nearly 9 years to bring the man they believed ordered the killing to trial.
By the 1970s, Laurel Canyon was no longer the wide-open secret it had been. Fame had settled in, shadows had fallen, and the golden glow of those first years felt further and further away. But memory has a way of softening the edges, of bringing back the moments that mattered most. Not the scandals, not the fear, but the nights that turned gold, and the mornings that lingered slow. In 1967, David Crosby walked into a coffee house on Coconut Grove, and there she was, singing the kind of songs only angels could know. He fell for her fire, and he carried her back to the canyon. For a time, it felt like forever. And even when forever didn't last, the music did. It always does. This next one carries that memory, that blend of harmony and heartache, the echo of a summer that still lingers in the canyon air. This is Coconut Grove 67.
In 67, Crosby walked into a coffee house on Coconut Grove. She was standing there singing the songs only angels could know. And he fell for a turbulent girl with fire in her hand. Brought her back to the canyon for a summer romance. Oh, the nights turned gold and the morning slow. Laurel Canyon heard her voice and it wouldn't let go. He loved her wild, we loved her song, and in her shadow we all sang along. That summer breeze carried secrets down the canyon road. Harmony and heartache in every note she wrote. He thought he'd found forever in her restless eyes, but forever's just a whisper in California skies. Oh, the nights turn gold and the was singing songs somehow we all still know.
That was StereoSunset with Coconut Grove 67, a song about love that didn't last, but music that never faded. And that's Laurel Canyon in the end, isn't it? Joni Mitchell once said, "The thing about music is that it stays. It's the last thing that leaves you." And the songs born here, whether in joy or chaos or heartbreak, stayed. They circled the world, carrying the voices of the canyon long after the fires burned out. The dream of Laurel Canyon may have cracked, but the music is still here. In every harmony, in every echo, in every night when the breeze carries secrets down the canyon road. The question was never if the music would last. The question was whether we'd ever hear it the same way again. You've been listening to Laurel Canyon AM, 60 minutes of golden light and long shadows. A place where coyotes sang with poets, where porches shook with harmony, where paradise cracked and ghosts slipped in. Maybe it was just a neighborhood in the Hollywood Hills, dirt roads, timber houses, eucalyptus swaying in the night. Or maybe it was something more, a frequency, a state of mind, a dream that burned bright and then burned out. The music hasn't left. It never will. You can still hear it if you listen closely. A Joni Mitchell chord carried in the wind. A Neil Young refrain echoing through the trees. Buffalo Springfield warning that something's happening here, and it always will be. This broadcast doesn't exist on any schedule, no station number on your dial. It's the signal that drifts in after midnight, the one you're never quite sure you really heard. But if you tuned in, if you've stayed with us this far, then you felt the echo. And that's all Laurel Canyon ever was. A place, a time, a sound. A story told in sunlight and shadow. A dream you can't quite hold, but can't ever forget. Until next time, this is Laurel Canyon AM.